Welcome back to Boring Build Friday. We're going to keep working on our 2016 GMC Terrain Denali. Now we're going to start tearing it apart and see just how bad the last rebuilder screwed it up. So, let's get into it. So we'll start by taking the car apart, pull the rear bumper off, a couple screws in the bottom, pull the little caps off. There's some different side screws in there because why would you be efficient and use the same type? So we'll pop our plastic push pins out. Okay, I've used up all my patience on that one, so we'll try the other one. Pull the center out, pop it out. I'll try the bottom. Patience wearing thin. Patience gone. I win. Now you pull the screws out. Yeah, those don't belong there. And one at the bottom. These belong there. Now you pull it out of the brackets. Drop it on the floor. Luckily the last guy didn't plug it in, so I didn't have to unplug it. Now we take our taillight out, just pop the covers off, 2 screws inside, and it pulls out of the quarter. You can unplug it. In a pile. Fold the seats up so you can get this little closeout panel out. This is actually an option. Not sure why. It should be standard. It's got a couple little tabs you just push in and they pop up. It moves with the seat. And pull a spare tire cover out. Pull the sill plate out. Unscrew the spare. And weasel it out of there. You're supposed to take the jack out, but I don't want it. I can pull the quarter trim off, pop these little caps off, and lose them. Pull these little cargo hooks off. And just pop the trim panel off. Our trim panel removal tool. Unplug the cigarette lighter. Fold our seats back down. Ooh, money! Oh, dang, candy! Delicious. And we can unbolt the seats. Slide them back. Get to the bolts on the front. Now we're going to take the door back off, just to make working on this thing a little easier. We just needed it up there to kind of see how bad things were going to be. So now we can fight with this seat. Crossfitters like flipping tires. Wait till they find out how much fun these seats are. Dear GM, there was no reason to line these with lead. Bolt our seatbelt. Yep, somebody's been here before. Those never come out. They're covered in Loctite and they're exposed to the elements, so they rust on top of it. I've broken many T50 Torx sockets trying to get those out. Usually you end up having to heat them up a little bit from the outside just to get them to break free. Now we can pull the right quarter trim out. It goes a little quicker after you've done it once already. Now we have our 1/2-inch impact to take off the little plastic retainers that hold the trim around the spare tire. So we'll pull the rear sub out, pull this out of there then, pull out the styrofoam there to spare, and the insulation. Pull the headrest out of the seats. All this stuff's going in a big box. That's why I'm not taking it out in any particular order. I'll take the quarter trim off, top, fish the seat belt out, and we'll take a look at some of the work that they've done. Quite a bit of body filler. Now I understand that body work is an art, but this guy was more of a sculptor than a body man. There's a fine line between body work and sculpting. I think that fine line is about a gallon of Bondo, and he crossed it. But he did use structural Bondo. I can tell, because he used it to replace the welds. You can see it there. And our little rubber weather stripping down at the bottom, because we Bondoed up the holes, we had to glue it on. Unfortunately, the glue is actually stronger than the body filler. Okay, now back to pulling the car apart. We're going to pull the seats out. So we'll unplug the seat and plug it in just enough so the clip isn't engaged. That way we can move the seat back once we get the bolts out. If it's centered over the track, it's easier to get through the door. So you take the bolts out, you lift it up, slide it back, pull the plug out of there, and we'll take the seat out the door. I'll pull the sill plates out, unplug them, same thing on the passenger side. Now we're going to pull our console out. A couple of pieces up in the front. There's 4 screws hidden behind them. And pull the sides of the console off. 1 clip up in the front. Only on the driver's side. A couple bolts hidden behind it. Pull those out. Yes, I needed to use the long extension for that one. You can disconnect the shift cable, pop it off, depress the retainer and slide it out, push it back out of the way, pop the cover off the passenger side, pull the bolts out, there's 2 bolts in the back, open up the little covers, take them out of there. Now we can slide the console back, and we can see our 2 plugs. One for the USB, and one for everything else in the console. No need to take it apart. It comes out complete. I wonder what's inside. So now we can unplug the seat wires. They put bolts in them this time. Before 2016, they were just clipped in. Guess they wanted to make sure they didn't come flying out of the car. So we'll fold up our carpeting. Now I don't really have to take the carpeting out, but I can tell you from experience, this padding is extremely flammable. It was not a good experience. And we'll take it out of the car. It's easier to get out when it's folded up. We'll pull our weather stripping off of our door, see if it's any good. It looks like it was smashed from the last accident. It does have metal inside that's supposed to keep it clipped on the pinch weld. It's no good. Now we can see what the last guy didn't do. Got some buckles on the floor. That is from last time. That's how they left it. Now these buckles on the floor, these are from this time. As that wheelhouse came in, you push that bracket in, that bracket caved in the floor a little bit. So when we pull our wheelhouse out, we'll be able to straighten the floor out. No need to replace the floor. All that will come right out. Even the part that they missed last time. But there is pulling required that they didn't do. It's no wonder that nothing fit correctly. So now we'll lift it up, put our stands under the tires. This one's centered under the left rear. Lower it down a little bit. That left rear tire's not lining up. We'll have to do something else. We'll put a jack stand on there. We're going to play a little jack stand Jenga. Look away, safety experts. Now we'll throw our clamps on there and start cutting it open. Got out my favorite tool. We're going to see what's inside. A little bit of metal, a lot of body filler. Just cut the skin off so we can see what's in there. Get it out of our way. And the pile. Now we'll pull our quarter glass out. Just run our knife around the inside. These are pretty nice. You can get to all the glue. Nothing special. And our glass is out in one piece. Now we'll take the wiring harness out. Push the inside of the push pins out since we can get to the back side. Squeeze the tabs on the wiring harnesses, push them through, and pop our module off the inside. Pull our taillight wire out, stuff it in there. And unbolt some modules here. One on the rail is the fuel pump module. One in the back, I believe, is the liftgate module. Now we can disconnect the fuel pump. Pull this wiring harness off the bottom of the frame rail. This is all connected to that quarter harness. We need it out of our way. Runs behind the subframe. So fish it out of there. And we'll stuff it all back up there. We need to straighten out the floor where this goes through. So it's going to be in our way. So we'll pull a little pull on our quarter in this wheelhouse. That's what this clamp is designed for, just pulling out the wheel opening. Structural Bondo isn't holding up very well. So we'll do a little more trimming with our pneumatic can opener. Now we're getting into the part that they repaired before. Seem to be hitting something in here. I wonder what it could be. Besides Bondo. So we're chipping out more Bondo than we are metal at this point. And our weather stripping is actually holding the Bondo on. That's nice. We'll leave it short. That way we can trim it to where we need it. These are just rough cuts. I'll pull the door striker off. And marvel at their shim. It's made out of plastic. Spent quite a bit of time doing that. And here's the crown jewel of their work. Apparently the last time this dog leg was crushed, instead of buying a new one, they cut it out, hammered it out a bit, and then welded it back in. Ish. They also replaced that inner piece, doing the exact same thing. So we're going to go back to fixing what was from the second accident. When the wheel went back, it crushed this part of the floor in the back, pulled it up a quarter. So we're pulling it straight. We're going to hammer out the floor and get it nice and straight. So our new wheelhouse will fit right into it. Now we're going to pull out the wheelhouse. This is where all the people that quit watching the video at this point and start commenting that it'll never be the same because you're straightening all this. Yeah, I'm cutting it all out. You should probably watch the whole thing. But go ahead and tell me how to do my job. So some of this stuff we are saving. We need to get it in the right spot. So now we're going to get the buckle out of the floor. We got a little tension on the top of we actually use the shock bolt. That'll pull the top of the wheelhouse over, and it'll pull that little bracket. So now we can hammer out our floor. As we do, it comes up. So we'll pull it until the tops of those brackets are where they belong. And then pull our seatbelt out. Needs more Loctite, GM. Pull a little cover behind our seatbelt out. And some more trimming. Back to the high quality work again. This piece was also pulled out before and just hammered flat. And I believe it was welded in with an extension cord, just arcing it across the metal, because that was certainly not done by a welder. So they must have taken that other piece out so they could hammer this out. Still didn't get it in the right spot. So here's our quarter panel and our lift gate. It's another one of my parts cars. I sold the engine and trans out of it. I originally bought this one for the airbags as well. Used the curtains, the driver's airbag, and the seat belts. This one wasn't running when it got wrecked. Something actually just fell on the roof. So the whole airbag system was perfect. So that's why I bought it. Sold some other parts. I used the door and some front end pieces as well. Now we're going to use some more. So just like our last one, we'll pop the little covers off, the taillight and the bumper. Yank the taillight out of there, shake vigorously. Pile. Missed the pile. Then pop the covers off the bumper, pull our different size screws out. Pull our screws out of the wheel opening, and our little plastic clips. These weren't a struggle. Now we can pull our bumper off, and we'll get the wheel liner out of the other side. Two clips on the bottom, and the bumper just pulls off. That off to the side, and pull the tire off. It likes it on there. We'll use our stuck tire removal tool. It's off now. Now we're going to pull the wheel liner out. It's getting a little too warm. Had to lose the sleeves. It is 4 degrees outside. We need it so we can see all this stuff inside our wheelhouse. Ah, clean freaks are going crazy. That part was dirty. And I'm going to put it back on like that. I've never been really fast at removing windows, but I got a new brake job hammer, so let's give it a try, see if it's a multi-purpose tool. Not bad. If you're wondering what all the little circles are, I just circled all the little dents, dings, and scratches. That way when the quarter skin is off, I can just hammer them out from the backside. Then we'll block them out. Won't be any body filler required. So now we can pull the door off. Pull the door check out, drop it in the door. We can unplug our wires. Boot back. Push the little pins in for the plug. Pop the plug out of there and disconnect it. And bolt the hinges and lift the door out. Now we're going to go back to the other car for a little bit. We'll grind out these spot welds. We're going to need a piece behind it. Yes, I do know about a belt sander. I don't like it. So now instead of breaking them off, we'll do it the fast way. Use a slide hammer. We're going to drill our 1/8 inch holes and trim the top piece off. Drill our 5/16 holes. Cut the rest of our wheel opening out. Use a saw in the end because it's a double panel and the air chisel doesn't like to go through it. So we'll get it started with the saw. I'll finish it up with the air chisel. Pull this whole piece out. We just drilled off and ground off. Well, everything except for this one spot weld at the top. Now we can drill this bracket off of our wheelhouse. We used our spot weld drill here because it's a double panel. To grind through 2 of those takes a little longer. So we'll drill the spot welds out, then knock them loose. Everywhere else, we'll grind them off. Use our slide hammer to break this one off. There's our spot weld drill. Make those spot weld drill guys happy. At least for a little while. Now I'm back to the die grinder. Take what's left of the quarter skin off here so we can get to these spot welds that are underneath it. And now we're going to cut the bottom of it out. Use a saw because we're going through a couple panels and lots of Bondo. I'll drill the spot welds out of the inside that we couldn't get to from the outside. So we'll knock the wheelhouse support off. I was using the wrong hammer. Well, how do you like this one? Instead of using the breaker on all these, I'm just gonna hit it with a sledgehammer. It's a lot quicker than doing each individual weld. Now we'll get a couple at the top. I don't want to hit this part with the sledgehammer. We'll break things. Wheelhouse is off. In the pile. Now we use our spot weld drill on the bottom here. We'll get the rest of this quarter skin off. Smash it off of there. Now we'll grind out the spot welds, get the rest of the wheelhouse out here. Use the air chisel instead of the breaker. The piece that it's mounted to is pretty thick, so if anything tears with the air chisel, it'll be the part we're taking off anyway. In the pile. Then we can grind out these high quality welds. And we'll chisel off this piece. I want to get as much as possible off of here. Trying to smooth it out was just a pain. It breaks out pretty easy. I'll flatten it out. Now we're just going to chisel out Bondo. Trying to figure out where the spot welds are underneath it. We'll start over here where we can still see some. Work our way back. Need to know where to grind. There's definitely going to be no drilling there. Those welds are not round. Not even complete. So, just decided I'm going to keep pushing it out with the air chisel. Pretty much tears right out. We're going to get rid of all this anyway. This takes a little time. Had they done it right, would have been pretty easy. I'll trim the piece off there. Toss it in the pile. We'll grind our spot weld out. Get the little bracket out of here. Air chisel scared it out. And we can get the rest of this piece out. This is that inner piece that they cut out. There's the inner frame rail. This is all from the last accident and it was never pulled out. So we're going to have to pull it out. That's what we're doing here. We'll hammer it in there. Now we can drill out the rest of what's left of our bracket. Now we'll straighten out the floor above it. Now all this was from the last accident, which tells me that that bracket probably had a few tears in it that they didn't weld up, and that's why their welds held, because the tears tore right out. So there's our inner frame rail, all straightened out. Our bracket's ready to go in there. Now we can focus on the back. When the tire went up underneath the D-pillar, it folded this up, put a little buckle in there. It's supposed to be beveled a little bit, but not quite as much as it was. So the car liner has a little pull attachment that pulls down, so that's what I'm using. It just pulls it straight down. We can hammer it out, get our floor straight. And our floor is all straight. Got a little hole to weld up there. Put our bracket in there. After we measured everything, make sure it was in the right spot. It's a tight fit. Put our bolt in our seatbelt. I just found the first one with the right threads I could find. Excessively long, but it'll work. We'll tap it into place and clamp up the front. Run our bolt in there to draw it up. Measure it all, make sure it's in the right spot, and tack it up. So let's get our quarter off of our parts truck. I guess it has its limitations. We're going to have to do this one the hard way. So now we'll draw our quarter skin off. We're going to use our spot weld drill because we need the quarter skin and the piece behind it. But we do have to take it apart because there is one bracket inside that I can't weld with it all attached. If it weren't for that bracket, I could put the quarter skin on with the inner wheelhouse. We'll draw our spot welds and make our cuts. These are rough cuts. They are now since I didn't cut straight. Draw out the rest of our spot welds. The ones that can go all the way through, I'll just drill with the regular drill bit. It's quicker. work our way all the way around. I am saving the B-pillar just in case. I haven't discovered what they've done up there. So it's better to have too much than not enough. So now we can break our spot welds loose, whichever ones hadn't already popped out. And there's some foam inside, so we're going to heat it up. We can pull it out. It releases the glue. One more foam up here. And we're kind of melting our letters. So we'll take them off. A couple more spot welds in the back to break loose. And this has some foam inside it as well. So we'll heat it up, pull it off of there. There's foam around the wheel arch. So we'll heat that up. And we'll break the spot welds loose on the bottom. But the quarter skin folds under, so getting a breaker in there isn't the easiest. So I'm going to see if I can break it all loose with just hitting it with the air chisel. It's got a hammer bit on the end, it's flat, so it's just the vibration breaks it loose. Got pretty lucky, and they all popped out. Wiggle that quarter skin off of there. Try to hold it by the top so it doesn't warp it. And now we can get to our inner pieces. These are the welds that I can't get to when the quarter skin is on there. And the only reason I have to separate the quarter skin from the wheelhouse. Now we can draw our spot welds out around the wheelhouse. Use our spot weld drill on these because we don't want to drill all the way through. We're just taking off this bracket for the inside. Unfortunately, I can only drill the top two. So we're going to use our 1/8 inch drill bit, but we're not going to drill all the way through. Then we'll use our 5/16. There are 3 panels here. So we're just drilling through the first one. So even if our drill does go a little bit further through, we'll still have a backing. We'll just weld through all 3 panels. And hit it with our flat chisel bit. The hammer bit. Now we can grind off this wheelhouse support. We're going to use the original one. I did scribe where this goes. So when we put the wheelhouse up, we'll have an idea. Now we can break all the welds loose. Couple more at the top. And our wheelhouse is out. Kinda. It's loose anyway. We have a rear suspension that's in our way. I'm gonna have to play a little Tetris. Nope. Try again. There you go. So our terrain is all squared up from this accident and the last accident. We still have some prepping to do, some spots to weld. I'm going to put a plate in behind their high quality welds that were in the inner frame rail, just to give it a little more support and something to weld to. I don't just want to weld up those holes. Give it a little more strength. So now we've dismantled 2 of our terrains. That's enough for today. So, next time, we'll put everything back together. Hopefully. We'll find out. Thanks for watching. See you soon. So here's our inner wheelhouse that they straightened. A little bit of our Bondo. Some more Bondo. Structural Bondo, replacing the welds. And our floor that wasn't straight. More Bondo. Bondo covering inadequate welds that were spaced an inch apart. And the piece they straightened with their high quality welds. Close up of their high quality welds. And that's the inside. More structural Bondo. A tear that they left in there from the last time. More Bondo. Some high quality welds. Now we'll just have to prep it so we can put in our new parts.